fix the camera. Fine. So in the first chapter we discussed about understanding diversity. In the second chapter we discussed about diversity and discrimination, and now in third chapter we are knowing about what is government. So let's start the chapter. What is government? So we need to find a way over. So in this chapter we first of all know about the levels of government. There are 3 levels exist in our government. First one is on the basic level, that is most fundamental level, you can say. It is a small a type of, like on the level of villages, cities and the ward members mainly. They are the most basic level. Above than that there is one level, that is a state level government, and above that we have to know the central government, that is national level. So we discussed too many levels. Then we were discussing law and government. So let's begin this. The government makes laws and everyone who lives in the country has to follow these. This is the only way governments can function. Just like the government has the power to make decisions, similarly, it has power to enforce its decisions. For example, there is a law that says that the persons driving a motor vehicle must have license. Any persons caught driving a vehicle without a license can either be jailed or fined a large sum of money. Without these laws, the government's power to make decisions is not of much use. Yeah. Think of an example of another law. Why do you think it is important that people abide by this law? What do you think? Abide. What is the meaning of abide, first of all? I don't know, but I will know this. Move forward. In addition to any actions that governments can take, there are also steps that people can take if they feel their particular law is not being followed. If a person feels, for example, that they were not hired for a job because of their religion or caste, he or she may approach the court and claim that the law is not being followed. The court can then give order about what should be done. Type of government. Who gives the government this power to make decisions and enforce laws? The answer to this question depends on the type of governments there is in a country. In our democracy, it is the people who give a government this power. They do this through election, in which they vote for particular person and elect them. Once elected, these persons from the government, in a democracy, the government has to explain its actions and define its decision to the people. Another from the government is monarchy. The monarchy, king or queen, has the power to make decisions and run the government. The monarchy may have a small group or people to decide matters with, but the final decision making power remains with the monarchy. Unlike this democracy, kings and queens do not have explained their actions or defined the decisions they take. Decisions. Do you think it is important for people to be involved in decisions that affect them? Give two reasons for your answer. How is this question? Hmm? Do you think the important is it important for people to be involved in decisions that affects them? Obviously. Huh? Which type of government would you prefer to have in the place you live in, and why? Obviously, democracy, but not um, too much democracy. Mhm. Because when you say too much democracy, what won't be wrong with this? Democracy means the governance of people, and the governance of peoples can be used in a very in an odd manner by ruling the people. When the ruler says himself, the local people too. Huh. It was obvious in the monarchy system. Then ruler is always call himself ruler, and everyone can say that person when he was enforcing them something, and when that king was treating badly with his people easily can say himself, and they denied himself. Uh, they can easily see, this person is huh, treating with us very badly, not in a right manner, not in an appropriate manner. But in the democracy, the whole population divided into several groups and several subgroups. Hmm. And everyone chooses and choose his ruler with or according to their interest. Hmm. Everyone going to choose their ruler, and first of all we choose several rulers, several dictators. Along with that, the dictator, the ruler, says himself, I am a local people. He is not saying himself ruler. He consider himself as ruler, but show himself as people, that he can loaded, he can impose several bondages, several uh, what responsibilities, so-called rules on the people. So that is the bad thing with democracy, I think. This is my personal opinion. Which of the statement below correct those sentences that you think need to correction? I think I should. In the monarchy, the country's citizens are allowed to elect whomever they want. Monarchy. The same type of monarchy exists this time. We call it democracy. Huh? In the monarchy, The country's citizens are allowed to elect whomever they want. The same type of monarchy exists this time. Next statement is that in the democracy, a king has absolute power to rule in the country. This is another format of the same thing. And the third statement is that in a monarchy, people can raise questions about the decisions the monarch takes. Oh, this is showing the reality, what the actual polity is called. Why I said the the actually the people who is intellectually um, powerful, they say to read polity, not politics. Polity. We deal with such questions, such valuable, such critical, such analytical questions. Then you can come and become the better version of yourself. In a monarchy, people can raise questions about the decisions the monarchy takes. It should be taken decision, but there is no chances to taken, and there is no chances to suggest, give suggestions to the king, monarch, and it is also be the power to raise questions, raise hands, to ask anything, not only decisions, any doubt, with the which is genuine, a monarch and the king. Next, democratic governments. India is a democracy. This achievement is a result of a long, eventful struggle of Indian people. There are other places in the world where people have also struggled to have democracies. You now know that the main feature of democracy is that the people have the power to elect their leaders. So, in a sense, a democracy is ruled by the people. The basic idea is that people rule themselves, rule themselves by participating in the making of these rules. Yeah. Means I have observed here a, you can say, spiritual thing. When this line said, the basic idea in the people rule themselves. In the democracy, people rule themselves. So by what they are being ruled? Who are actually ruling on them? Is they himself, or in someone other that is ruling on them? So I have job a thing here. Actually, their desire, their little desire, by influencing them, they choose their monarch. So that is not a monarch, that is their chief, a very cheap type of desire in the format of their elected member, their chosen member. That is not a member, that is the source of a cheap desire, because the people have chosen that monarch, that member, by taking some cheap desires in imagination in the expectation of some cheap desire. That's why that member is standing here. That is not a elected member. That is hmm, a physical format of their cheap desire, people's cheap desire. So in this manner you can say the people rules on themselves, rule themselves. Democratic governments in our times are usually referred to as a representative democratic democracy. In representative democracy, people do not participate directly, but inst- instead choose their representatives through an now where in the world have governments willingly shared the power, all the power. European and USA women and the poor have had to fight for participation in the government. Women's struggle to vote got strength during the First World War. This movement is called the women's suffrage movement, as the term suffrage usually means right to vote. During the war, many men were away fighting, and because of this, women were called upon to do work that was earlier considered man's work. Many women began organizing and managing different of work. When people saw this, they began to wonder why they had created so many unfair stereotypes about women and what they were capable of doing. So women began to see as being equal capable of making decisions. The suffrage suffrage suffragettes demanded the right to vote for all women, and to get their demands heard, they chained themselves to railings in public place. Many suffragettes were imprisoned and went to hunger strike, and they had to be fed by. American women got a right to vote in 1920, while women in UK got vote on the same term as the men some years later in 1928. Means in America, women were started voted in 1920, but America become independent in 1776. 1786 में अमेरिका आजाद है और यहाँ की महिलाओं को वोट का अधिकार मिला है 1920 में। इंग्लैंड कभी गुलामी नहीं हुआ, फिर भी यहाँ पे डेमोक्रेसी बहुत पुरानी है। कहा जा सकता है कि पुरानी डेमोक्रेसी में से एक ये भी है, मतलब 1800 के करीब शायद में भी तो हुआ ही होगा। लेकिन यहाँ पे वुमेन्स को अधिकार मिला है 1928 में, अमेरिका के 8 साल बाद। क्या जी डेमोक्रेसी के मसीहा लोग। इलेक्शन प्रोसेस, their representatives meet and make decisions for the entire population. These days, a government cannot call itself democratic unless it allows what is known as universal adult franchise. This means that all adults in the country are allowed to vote. But it was not always like this. Can you believe that there was a time when government didn't allow women and poor to participate in election. Why? In their earliest forms, governments allowed only men who owned property and were educated to vote. This meant that women or poor, the propertyless, wow, what a great thing mentioned here. This meant that women, the poor, the propertyless, and the uneducated were not allowed to vote. Nowadays, it is too similarly true. In the same amount, it is true now as well. The country was governed by the rules and the regulations that these few men made. In India, before independence, only a small minority was allowed to vote, and they therefore came together to determine the fate of this majority. Several people, include Gandhiji, were shocked at the unfairness of this practice and demanded that all adults have the right to vote. This is known as universal adult friendship. Writing in the journal Young India in 1931, Gandhiji said, "I cannot possibly bear the idea that a man who has got wealth should have the vote, but that man who has got character but no wealth or literacy should have no vote, or that man who works honestly by the sweat of his borrowed day in and day out should not have the vote for the time of being a poor man." So chapters in here, and now we have to look at some questions, some exercises, and some highlighted points. So look at the map on page 29 and 30. So the states, union territories, and district of India. Find the following information from these maps and various other resources. इंडियन मैप के बारे में एनालिसिस करना है. नेम ऑफ द नाइट पोर्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया. द कंट्रीज वर सो पाकिस्तान, चाइना, अफगानिस्तान में से बांग्लादेश, भूटान, नेपाल, म्यांमार, Burma, that is called. Then Sri Lanka. You can consider Maldives too. These are the night ports of India. Name of your state or in your union territory and its night ports. So I am from Bihar. So Bihar's night port, Bengal, West Bengal, and then Jharkhand, and consider Uttar Pradesh, UP. Name of your district and its night board. I am in Buxar district. So night board, who is night board? Rohtas, Ara, and a little bit you can consider Bania, but it was the district of Uttar Pradesh, because mid of the there was a river, Ganga. One side Ganga and another side of Bania. Routes from your district to national capital. Routes to your district to national capitals. Routes के routes. So district to हमेशा है national capital. National capital Delhi. Oh, the path was straightforward. All train goes to Buxar to Delhi. Look at the statement in the column on the left. Can you identify which label they begin to place tick mark against the label you consider most appropriate? Local, state, and central. Appropriate, most appropriate way we have to tick. But we should deal hmm, this type of decisions. Local, state, local government, state government, or central government. So we have to take this statement which should be considered most appropriate. The decision of government of India to maintain peaceful relation with Russia, obviously central. The decision of government of West Bengal on the whether to have board exam in class 8 for all government school, obviously a state problem. Introduction of two new trains between Dibrugarh and Kanyakumari. So it should be the local